Today and Across the Fence, we'll meet some of the newest professors at the University of Vermont. They're starting new jobs in a new place, and they're getting an introduction to Vermont people and places from UVM Extension. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. My guest is the Dean of UVM Extension. He joins us on occasion to share news of Extension's statewide programming and accomplishments. It is a pleasure to welcome back Doug Lantagne. It's great to see you again.
It's great to be back.
Now, this is a new school year. We're transitioning from summer to fall, and I know you grew up in the Kingdom. What are some of your favorite things about this time of year?
Well, I like the crisp mornings and the dew on the grass, but there's the apples and the cider. They don't do too bad either. And then just the color. It's just a change of season. I grew up in the Kingdom, so I do a little hunting here or there, so it's the beginning of the hunting seasons, whether bird hunting or rabbit hunting or deer hunting or moose hunting these days, but it's all of those things.
And so the State Extension Office has a new home. Tell me about that.
Yes, we have a new home. We have been off campus for the last several years, and the university refurbished a building, and we were lucky to move into a couple of floors on that with the Center for Sustainable Agriculture. And so it gets us on campus, it gets us a quick walk, less commuting. It just makes us feel more connected to the institution again.
And that was kind of a big deal, though, moving. I mean, it's a lot of equipment and a lot of people.
Oh, it is. 7 years ago, I had to convince folks that it was a good idea to move to our off-campus location. It actually gave us free parking and lots of it, and we got more visits, but then I had to convince them it was a good idea to move back onto campus 7 years later. Well,
at the start of the new school year last month, UVM welcomed a number of new faculty members, and you play a key role in introducing those new members to Vermont. How is that done?
Well, several years ago, I thought it would be really nice to just have new faculty that are coming to UVM to learn a little bit more about Vermont beyond the campus, beyond Burlington, beyond the next level, and to introduce them to the things the university does and what Extension does. And so this was I just made it happen about 4 years ago.
Well, that must take a long time because UVM Extension's everywhere.
Well, yeah, but you have to pick a part of the state. And so we picked something where we could do it in a day and show them. And I try to balance between not just what Extension does, but what the university does in other areas as well, because I really want them to see how the breadth of the institution can really reach out and impact the state of Vermont, because we are a land-grant university.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a moment now to meet some of the new professors who are learning about their new home. Here's Across the Fence's Keith Silva.
Parker von Valkenburg's anthropology class can get really dramatic.
Why the heck did he include this in a movie about space travel?
Anthropology is the study of humankind, past and present, and technologies, ancient and modern. So when von Valkenburg got his first look at a robotic milking machine, he was awestruck.
I had no idea that dairy farmers are using such high technology. That was really impressive.
You're not from around here.
No, I'm not. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma originally, and have just moved up to Vermont and came here by way of Boston and England and California. And cutting, you mean, right?
Ben Valkenburg is a new faculty member at the University of Vermont. He's only been in the state for a couple of months. His visit to the Four Girls Dairy Farm in Fairfax was one stop on a day-long tour of Vermont farms hosted by UVM Extension. The tour is offered to new faculty members and gives them a chance to get to know their new home.
Shortly after accepting the position here, actually in May, I think, I got a booklet of information about the Vermont Farms and Working Communities tour, and it sounded like a pretty exceptional opportunity to get to know this place that I'm now calling home from a perspective that people don't normally get to see, and to get to know UVM, my new employer, from a perspective that you don't get when you just sit in your academic department.
In addition to visiting a dairy farm, the participants also got to taste Vermont at its sweetest and learn about modern sugar making.
Pre-concentrate even further that sap before it gets down into the back pan. It's just really nice to sort of have some personal contact with the people who are producing the food that we eat and learning a bit about where it comes from, getting the sort of perspective from them about things like CSA shares and just the sort of nuts and bolts of the agrarian economy in Vermont. I mean, I'm definitely really excited to sort of share a lot of the information that I've gotten today with my husband. Again, you know, he's a lifelong Chicagoan, so it's really this kind of cool insider view of this part of Vermont that we haven't gotten to know, just sort of exploring on our own.
We are certified organic.
David Rozovsky took time out of his busy schedule as UVM's new provost and senior vice president to take the tour as well. For him, this tour exemplifies UVM's land-grant mission to work hand-in-hand with Vermonters in a practical approach to education through agriculture and engineering.
One of the reasons I came to Vermont, to the University of Vermont, is because of the land-grant mission. You know, 20 of the 24 years I've spent in higher education have been at land-grant universities, and I have a deep commitment and a strong belief in the power of the land-grant university. And so the opportunity to get out early in my tenure at the University of Vermont and see part of the state and meet some of the people that are living and working in Vermont felt very important. And if it's not something I can do often, I want to make sure that I at least do it once or twice a year. For us to really fulfill the mission of the land-grant university, we need to understand the state, we need to understand the people of the state and their needs and their aspirations for our university, because it's their university.
As provost, Rozovsky is in charge of the curricular, instructional, and research efforts at UVM. So he has a vested interest in making sure new faculty get to know the communities and the people of Vermont.
I would encourage all faculty to take advantage of these types of tours or opportunities to tour the state. I think many do because it's such a beautiful state and it's also accessible. And what I would encourage them to do is think about their role as faculty and staff in a land-grant university and understand what are the expectations, what are the needs, and where are the opportunities for the university and the state to work closely together to help the state to help itself and to take great pride and great pleasure in the land-grant mission. It's an extraordinary mission, it's an extraordinary cadre of universities, and UVM is very privileged to be in that group.
During the course of the lecture today, I want you to think not just about how we're human because we use tools, but also
when it comes to teaching how, where, and why civilizations began, it's important to know about the people who call the places they live home.
I mean, that's one of the most important things about history, is not taking what you see around you for granted. Having gone on that tour, I felt like I was becoming part of a community that wasn't just this small group of scholars up in the ivory tower, but you know, a piece of a larger society that's trying to work together to solve really complex problems. Once you sit down and you start talking and you understand a mutual interest in the land and in technology and sustainability, there's probably more common ground than we think.
From people and places to yesterday and today, these new teachers are learning a lot from their new neighbors. In Fairfax, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Well, today I'm visiting with Doug Lantagne, the Dean of UVM Extension. Sounds like the faculty had a great time.
They do. This is the 4th year of doing it, as I think I said, and each year I hear back from them. It's a voluntary trip, so not everyone does go, but I usually get about half the new faculty, and I usually hear from other faculty once they talk to the ones that went, why didn't I go? Are you going to do it again? Also, I've heard back from some faculty that took it 2 and 3 years ago, just emailing me to thank me because a grant came up where they needed someone in another unit, and they thought, oh, the person I met on the trip, and they've gotten together and gotten some successful grant applications in. So,
what are some of the other examples of why this is kind of important?
Well, for me, I think the provost said it very, very well. For me, I grew up in this state. I know this state. A lot of these folks are coming from away. I want them to understand there's a strength here. There are a number of opportunities. There are problems. They have knowledge. They have skills. They are now residents of this state, and I hope they use that as faculty members to think about how they can help solve problems, help people make better decisions, and be involved in their communities. Because to me, that's what makes Vermont so great, are individuals that step forward and participate in their communities.
And so what did you learn from this?
What I always learn every year, there are just some very smart folks, and I'm glad I'm not trying to compete with them at this stage in my career. But they come in extremely articulate, very sharp, very committed, and they are giving our undergraduate students one heck of a great education.
Now, some of our previous discussions have centered on food and food systems. What's Extension doing to benefit Vermonters in that area?
Well, the biggest thing right now is the FSMA. It's called the Food Safety Modernization Act. It is in its commentary stage. Comments end November 5th. It was built to keep us safe, but our food safe. The issue is some of the rules, it's over 1,000 pages, the first 2 rules, and that has a significant impact on a lot of our small, because we do a lot of local production. And if you take a large processing or production facility mindset and write rules for them, oftentimes it doesn't fit very well with small, rural, regional. Right. And so what's production, what's processing? So we're out there working very hard to help trying to interpret and figure out how our farmers can still thrive and survive under these new rules.
So now we're just coming off our late summer fair season, and the county fairs are a great opportunity for Vermonters to see the work and accomplishment of 4-H'ers. That must be a point of pride for you in Extension.
Well, I'm very lucky because I get complimented lots of times for all the great work everybody else does, and 4-H is one of those examples. When they hear young people speak in a public situation or show an animal or do an action exhibit, they see the power of 4-H. It's the largest youth-serving organization in the United States, and a very strong one here in Vermont. So yeah, I mean, it always excites. They're our future leaders. So Ingrid, who is actually on the new faculty tour, is a 4-H'er out of New York State, as it turned out, and I learned that on the trip. And it's amazing the number of people you find that have been through 4-H.
Yeah, it's really just incredibly pleasing to me to be able to talk with a lot of these kids in the programs. They're just like shining stars. It's wonderful.
They do a great job.
Well, 4-H relies on volunteers to help offer diverse and quality programming. Across the Fence found the spirit of volunteerism at 4-H alive and well at the Champlain Valley Fair.
One often hears that volunteers are the heart of 4-H, and they really are. It's wonderful to see how many people are willing to give of themselves, and they really make a difference in the lives of kids.
What we do is we evaluate the kids' work, and it could be a poster, a tabletop, a photograph. I've been doing this, I've missed a couple years, but 4 or 5 years. I just like to be involved in 4-H. I just think it's such a terrific program, and it means a lot to me. It meant a lot to my kids, so I just find it very rewarding.
There are many levels of commitment. Some of the volunteers are episodic. They come in and they might do a short-term program, and then they're done. We have volunteers that come in for special events to help evaluate and score kids' works. But we also have opportunities to volunteer working on the foundations, helping to fundraise so that kids can get scholarships to participate in 4-H programs, or to fund materials that might be needed to help kids explore a 4-H project area. So the foundation is an important way to volunteer. And of course the volunteer leaders who help share their knowledge of project area and help the kids explore and learn more about areas that interest them.
I started in 4-H when I was 8, and when I was done with 4-H, I started volunteering right away. So many people took their time for me, and it really, really affected me, in a positive way. I got to see the world because of 4-H, and I want to make sure other people get that same opportunity.
Once I did it once, I think a lot of the people just keep coming back because it's kind of fun, and if you can help out and give the kids some encouragement, it's terrific.
We do a little bit of everything: horses, outdoor field sports, archery, sugaring, outdoor activities. It's very rewarding to help these kids start off life in an excellent way, and being a mentor to the kids means a lot to me. It was very informative. I've learned a lot by looking at the posters and all the hard work. You can see that these kids put their heart and souls in this.
Well, Doug, can you sum up what volunteers mean to 4-H?
Well, we have some great paid staff, but you cannot replace the experience and the dedication of several hundred volunteers working with youth around the state. 4-H is about a dedicated volunteer with a knowledge base that they want to share. They're excited about sharing, and youth that want to learn that. And so those volunteers are just a critical component of the program. They are the heart and soul. Because of the passion they show, the kids show passion.
And how can someone contact you or find out more about volunteering if they're interested?
Well, there'll be, I think, a telephone number on the screen toward the end, or it's there now, as well as my email address, as well as the website. And all of those, you can give us a call or check the website and look for the 4-H program, or email me directly, and I'll make sure it gets sent to the 4-H program director.
Well, thanks, Doug. It's great to see you.
Same here. Thank you.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.
For a video copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-ATF-3430. Across the Fence is brought to you as a public service by University of Vermont Extension and WCAX-TV.